They legitimately believe that socialists are a dead end, just as they legitimately believe that resisting against ICE occupation in Minneapolis would not lead to anything promising. They have no vision. They lack political courage.
Seen a big change here in the last couple of weeks, and it's all good changes.
Womp, womp.
I'm also pleased to report that we're seeing a notable decrease on unlawful agitator activity here in Minneapolis and overall throughout the state. This is great news for Minnesota communities that have been adversely impacted by the lawlessness and chaos on the street. We have what we call here QRFs, Quick Response Force, security teams, that get called out when ICE officers are out doing operations. They get into trouble.
Tom, don't say this. The Dow is doing well. Tom, stop. Think about the Dow. Thomas. I'm the Walter White meme in the car screaming, Tom. Your mom hated you before birth enough to give you a blocked airway. Tom Holman. Oh my God. Thomas, no. Thomathan. Stop. Consider the Dow before saying such silly things.
If agitators get out of control, if there's a danger and public safety is at risk, these QRFs respond to help these officers get off the X and get out of that situation. I asked today when I got here, I want to know what the QRFs call outs are, what their deployments are. I want to know every time a QRF is called out. The QRF deployments have dropped dramatically because we have less of that occurring, less of the agitator that cross that line. That is a good thing. That is a win for everybody, not just for the safety of law enforcement officers. It's a win for this community. With that, and success that has been made arresting public safety threats and other priorities since this surge operation began, as well as the unprecedented levels of coordination we have obtained from state officials and local law enforcement, I have proposed, and President Trump has concurred, that this surge operation conclude. A significant drawdown has already been underway this week.
Yeah, we did. It was tremendously successful. It was blah, 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 blah. The comments doing what about Jay-Z really highlights how off the path we are. We're talking about drugs. Let's talk about Epstein and friends, drugging underage girls are dumb. Why y'all don't want to talk about the Epstein files? I mean, a lot of people are just cattle. You can just avoid them, honestly. Like anyone that responds to Cardi B talking about the Epstein cover up as with like a Jay-Z dunk or something is just cattle that you can avoid. You can just like jiggle keys in front of their eyes. That's it. You can convince them to sell you the deed for their home if they have one for $0.
To the next week. We have a lot of work to do across this country to remove public safety.
Did they arrest anyone for the Somali fraud hoax, or did everyone forget about that now? I mean, it was never about that anyway, especially because ICE and the Department of Homeland Security has no basis in in dealing with hoaxes and things like that.
Risk who shouldn't even be in this country. And to deliver on President Trump's promise for strong border security and mass deportation, law enforcement officers drawn down from this surge operation will either return to their duty stations or be assigned elsewhere to achieve just that.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our...
Senator Hawley.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Ellison, let me start with you. You're the Attorney General of the state of Minnesota. Do I have that correct?
I saw a Majority Report this morning talk about that Cato guy who cooked. I mean, he had some dumb libertarian takes as well in between, but I do want to watch that clip if someone has it.
That's a yes.
Sir, you're aware of my job. You know the answer to that.
You're not going to answer my questions? Are we going to start this way? Are you the Attorney General of the state of Minnesota, yes or no?
You know the answer.
Ellison, you're in my courtroom now. You're under oath. So I suggest that you answer my questions. You the Chief Law Enforcement Officer of the state of Minnesota, yes or no? Let's try another question. Are you familiar with the $9 billion in historic fraud out of your state, including the $250 million in the Feeding Our Future program alone? You familiar with that? Don't turn to the pages in your book to get your potted answers. Are you familiar with it? Yes or no?
Yes, I am familiar with it.
Very familiar, aren't you? Because the people who ran the Feeding Our Futures program came to you in your official office in the state capitol December 11th, 2021, and asked for your help in getting investigators off their backs. They complained to you upwards of an hour about state investigators going after them, and they begged you to help them, and you agreed to it, amazingly. And we know you did.
That's not
because
true.
It's all caught on tape.
Yeah,
every single sentence is caught on tape. Here's what you said. Let's take a look.
Obviously,
You said, it's not a question. You said to them, send me the names of all these folks who are investigating them. You said to them, send me their names. And I'll take that list and I'll call the person over at education who is investigating them and say, what's going on? Why am I getting these complaints? Then you went on to say, I already have my team working on this. What day should we get together to discuss it again? You made pledge after pledge to them. You said, we've got to make sure this guy who's investigating them stops it. You said, you have my attention. I'm concerned about this. You said, let's go fight these people, meaning the people who are investigating the fraud. Why'd you do it? Why'd you help them?
Are you going to let me answer?
Please, we're all ears.
So first of all, you're cherry picking quotes out of there.
Why did you help them?
I thought you were going to let me answer.
Why did you
help them? Are you going to let me answer?
Why did you help
You
them?
let me answer and I'll answer you.
Tell the truth and I'll let you answer.
I will tell the truth.
Good.
Let's do that.
That'd be a nice change. Why'd you help them?
Now see, Mr. Chairman, I didn't come here to be insulted. I came here voluntarily.
You came here for the truth. Let's have it. Why did you help them? The quotes are here. They're in black and white, and every member of this audience can listen to the recording. It's 54 minutes long. It's all in public. You can Google it right now and listen to it.
And listen to it all.
Why'd you help them?
First of all, I didn't help them.
You did help them.
No, I did not. I certainly didn't.
You're saying you didn't do anything for them. You didn't.
Well, wait a minute.
I already have my team working on this again. That's not you?
I have my team assisted with the information that led to the prosecution and conviction of these people.
No, you didn't. You didn't lift a finger to prosecute them. No, you did not.
No,
You didn't
because
lift a finger to
it was a
prosecute
federal
them.
prosecution.
You had, BS. You had whistleblowers come to you as early as 2019.
You're the one talking BS.
Hey, listen, it's my time.
Doesn't know what you're talking about, sir.
No, sir. You now have encountered the truth and you don't like it. Why'd you take their money? Why'd you take their money?
I didn't.
You took $10,000.
No, that's a false statement.
$10,000 9 days after the meeting.
False statement.
You took $10,000. Here's what happened. They went to your office.
Bro, the most effective argumentation tool that these guys have at their disposal that they deploy over and over again is just know you, know you, know you, know you. That's it. That's all they got, baby. Know you, know you, know you.
They solicited money from you. They solicited help from you.
That's also wrong.
They came to your office. It was your official office. You met with them for 54 minutes.
No, they didn't.
They asked you for help. You pledged it to them, and they talked repeatedly about money. In fact, it's all they talked about.
That's a lie.
Money, 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 money. They said, we will put our dollars in the right place. We will support candidates that will fight to protect our interests. You replied, that's right. They said, if you are securing your donor base and securing your power base, you can act the way you want. You replied, money is freedom. They said the amount of money circulating, I'm reading the transcript, the amount of money circulating in our community today is powerful, and we haven't realizing it in a meaningful way. And you said, give me the specifics. And 9 days later, you took $10,000 from people who were then indicted. It's in your reports. Why'd you do it?
Sir,
was it worth it?
You know what? This is a theatrical performance.
This is the truth. This is what accountability looks like, of which you've had none. You helped fraudsters defraud your state and this government of $9 billion, and you got a fat campaign contribution out of it. You ought to be indicted.
True. Well,
that's the truth.
A fat campaign contribution of $10,000.
I think we've made the point. Let's keep the 10.
Well, for the record,
I'll ask how I want to,
he's lying,
Paul.
and that's the truth.
Oh no, this is all on the record, sir. Did you bother to investigate where the money that you facilitated their fraud for, where it went? Do you know where it went, what it was used for, the fraudulent money? I do, because we just heard testimony about it yesterday.
Because we were key players in the
hundreds of millions of dollars to terrorist groups, to transnational criminal organizations, to the drug trade, to drug trafficking, to child trafficking. And you took $10,000
That's a lie.
And helped them do it. You know, the other thing is, whistleblowers came to you as early as 2019. Let's look. As early as 2019, whistleblower. Don't talk over me.
No,
as early as 2019, it's my hearing, pal. As early as 2019.
Don't call me
whistleblowers came to, well, I should call you prisoner because you ought to be in jail.
Well, see what you can do
about it. In 2019, whistleblowers came to you in your office and referred to you fraud allegations from Feeding Our Futures, and you blew them off. Listen, your own state newspaper investigated it. The Minnesota Star Tribune, the Partners in Nutrition, brought its concerns to the Attorney General's office in 2018 and in 2019, and you did nothing. You did nothing for years. The only action you took is, once all these fraudsters came to your office and asked you to get involved and offered you money, then you got involved. Then you took the money, and then you got involved.
They did not come to my office. You're completely wrong about that.
You met with them
I did
for
not take anybody's
54
money.
minutes, and you took $10,000, and they also gave your family money. They gave your family thousands of dollars in campaign contributions in addition to what they gave
a false
you.
statement.
Let's put the
This is completely untrue.
The New York Post.
Yeah, we know the New York Post.
Minnesota Keith Ellison, AG, accepted campaign donations from individuals linked to the $250 million COVID fraud scheme after they were in your office. The donations came on December 20th.
Sir,
you met with them on December the 11th, and on January 20th, the FBI knocked over their headquarters.
No.
That's the sequence of events here.
No, it's not.
You've been right at the center of this fraud thing from the beginning, and you've enabled it. And sir,
the false
you
statement,
should resign.
And sir, you should resign. I was thinking the same thing about you.
You should resign.
I was thinking the exact same thing about you.
I'm sure after encountering this truth, you are, because it hurts to have accountability, doesn't it?
Because after this parade of lies and presentation, I think you should be ashamed for misrepresentation.
Time has expired. Senator Moreno.
The Minnesota Lieutenant Governor encouraged people to put their bodies on the line.
I can't imagine encouraging somebody that supported me politically to go and put themselves into harm's way. I can't imagine that, particularly when you know that these law enforcement officials had been shot at, a couple of illegal immigrants inadvertently killed because people were shooting at ICE officers. Their vehicles have been rammed by some of these peaceful protesters, probably the trained activists.
By the way, having this kind of attitude right now, like especially right now, when the body camera footage that just came out is insanity, okay? It is absolute insanity. These people are trying to shoot at ICE officers. You bullshit, okay? Not only is it unimaginably unpopular, even Republicans are looking at it and going, yeah, I don't know, this one maybe is a little bit too much. The video I'm talking about, we will be watching in a little bit, okay? But yes, I have seen Bovino's horny tweets. That's besides the point. This is a woman that was shot by Border Patrol agents in Chicago. I think Maria Martinez, if I'm not mistaken. It is insane.
They've had
another person that they lied and said was like a terrorist or whatever, for the record.
Rocks thrown at their vehicles. I can't imagine encouraging people, put yourselves in harm's way. Get out there and record that. I, as a government official, would have said, back off. Let us work with ICE. Let's cooperate with them. Let's see if we can't de-escalate this. But Attorney General, you did the exact opposite. And 2 people are dead because you encouraged them to put themselves into harm's way. And now you're exploiting those 2 martyrs. That was a tragedy.
Martyrs?
It never...
Wait, so they are martyrs. Nice.
Should have happened. Now, we can investigate, but I can't imagine...
He either called them martyrs or called them murders, in which, both are correct.
Being a law enforcement official, where I know my colleagues have been shot at, their vehicles rammed, that their trained activists deployed, and by the way, we know at least one of those activists had a semi-automatic pistol with extra clips. So now you're an ICE officer, you're doing enforcement action, you've got a team behind you trying to protect you, you've got all these trained activists behind you. Is it any wonder they're at hair trigger alert? A tragedy was going to happen and you encouraged it. And you ought to feel damn guilty about it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
This kind of political posturing rings hollow when you know the actual confrontations with ICE lead to murders over and over again. None of this shit matters. We love Second Amendment, except for the fact that when someone is doing open carry, the government claims she rammed Border Patrol agents with her vehicle before an agent shot her 5 times. But the new body cam video shows the agent turned his steering wheel towards Maria Martinez, and that he was congratulated for excellent service after shooting her. This is indefensible, chat. If you haven't seen this, let's take a look.
Cameras on. This is newly released.
By the way, notice how he goes cameras on. That's another thing that is really frustrating about the body camera conversation, is though like the body cameras are something that these guys are at odds with. They're not, okay? That's a lie. Any kind of like reform in the body camera position is not actually moving the conversation to a place that we need to move it to. They're just using that as a way to just give modest reforms, or the idea of modest reforms. The guy that shot Renee Good literally was filming himself with his phone camera. It's awesome. What's next? Oh, at least he could use both hands when he murders other people like Renee Good next time, because the body camera will do the filming process for him.
Body camera video. A team of 3 Border Patrol agents is driving through a Southside Chicago neighborhood. 2 have guns drawn. Marimar Martinez, an American citizen and school teacher, is driving next to them, honking her horn, warning people to the presence of federal immigration enforcement.
Like, this image should be posterized everywhere as a somber reminder for those who are oblivious that when ICE is around you in your neighborhoods and whatnot, they got their fingers on the trigger and they're in the car with their gear and their weapons, okay?
Another vehicle is behind the agents, also honking the horn.
All right, it's time to get aggressive and get the out, because they're trying to box us in.
It all happens in seconds.
All right, we're following.
See something there? You see that? Do you notice something there? They lied and said Martinez was the one who actually rammed into the ICE car as a terrorist, okay?
It all happens in seconds.
These tactical dipshits are straight up running around acting like they're in Sicario. It's time to get aggressive. It's time to get kinetic with them. The people that they're getting kinetic with are American citizens, by the way.
All right, we're following now. All right, out of the car.
Be advised, we've been struck.
Martinez was shot 5 times and survived. In this surveillance video, you can see the front of the agent's SUV come to a stop. 4 seconds later, Martinez's silver Nissan drives off, she says, fearing for her life. The Department of Homeland Security was quick to accuse her of attacking federal law enforcement, saying Border Patrol agents were, quote, ambushed by domestic terrorists that rammed federal agents with their vehicles. FBI Director Kash Patel.
Yeah, it turns out, once again, I'm going to show you. Look.
Enforcement.
Another
vehicle
bitch.
is behind the agents, also honking the horn.
All right, it's time to get aggressive and get the out, because they're trying to box us in.
It all happens in seconds.
Look. You see that? You see that?
It's time to get aggressive and get the out, because they're trying to box us in.
It all happens in seconds.
ICE rams into her car and then shoots into her car, dude.
She says, fearing for her life. The Department of Homeland Security was quick to accuse her of attacking federal law enforcement, saying Border Patrol agents were, quote,
what do you mean? See what? Can you explain what is happening? He's swerving into her car, ramming her car. He says, we got to get like active. They're trying to box us in. Ridiculous. Okay. Swerves into her car to ram into her car and then subsequently get out of their vehicle and shoot her. You see it in the video.
Ambushed by domestic...
We need to get aggressive. Sorry, it doesn't say active. He even says we need to get aggressive.
Terrorists that rammed federal agents with their vehicles. FBI Director Kash Patel posted on social media about the incident, quote, attack our law enforcement and this FBI will find you and bring you to justice. The post also included a link to video of a car ramming, but it had no connection to Martinez's case. And the body camera video tells a different story. In the lead up to the collision, you hear agents say they are going to collide with Martinez.
We're going to make contact and we're boxed in.
And just before the moment of impact, it's Agent Charles Exum who sharply turns his steering wheel in the direction of Martinez. Proof, according to her attorney, that they hit her vehicle, not the other way around. And as for the claim of being boxed in, this surveillance video calls that comment into question, with nothing in the path ahead of the border agent's vehicle. The court also released text messages and emails from after the shooting, including one message from Border Patrol Commander Gregory Bovino, just hours after the incident, offering to delay the retirement of Agent Exum, who shot Martinez.
Good afternoon. I'd like to extend an offer to you to extend your retirement beyond age 57. This will be your second extension, and we'd like to consider this if feasible. In light of your excellent service in Chicago, you have much yet left to do. Joe, would you have staff work with Mr. Exum to accomplish this most illustrative endeavor? Thank you.
In light of your excellent service in Chicago, you have much left to do. And then a text message exchange between Agent Exum and someone whose name was redacted. Are they supportive? Someone asked. Big time. Everyone has been, including Chief Bovino, Chief Banks, Secretary Noem, and El Jefe himself. In various texts to and from fellow agents.
You need to understand, by the way, some of these guys are other like law enforcement officers from different branches too. They know what to say when the body cameras are on. That's why it's important when they go, oh, cams are on, by the way. So they can try to create plausible deniability or try to create reasonable grounds for the court case that will come up after. They're chasing a legal kill. Just understand that, which is why I keep repeating, like, the body camera, the body camera situation is not actually the reform that you think is going to solve this problem. Okay? They have full control over when the body cameras are turned on. They have full control over what to release and what not to release. There's plenty of instances where for as many successful cases of prosecution against bad cops that like accidentally turn on the body camera, forgetting that the cameras can actually record the 30 seconds prior to you turning on the body camera and whatnot. There are a million different instances where they actually use the body camera to their advantage to make it seem as though they actually had reasonable fear for their own safety. That is what they're doing in this circumstance when they say, oh, they're trying to box us in, regardless of the additional evidence that you can see with your own two eyes that they weren't getting boxed in at all, to make it seem like there is no reasonable grounds for this kind of violent escalation. They will lie. They'll say we've been struck. They will make it seem like someone shot them. Yeah, it seems like the agent who was recording was trying to cover the body cam with his weapon, but missed the fact that the high FOV of the cam was showing Exum through the trigger guard of the gun. Like, it's only fortunate that we actually see the wheel, like the wheel steering in the direction of the car. Like, he was trying to cover it up and it didn't work.
Mood was celebratory. Good job, brother. You are a legend among agents. You better effing know that. Beers on me when I see you at training. That's awesome. You did real good. Damn it, man. Good shooting. The day after the shooting, Martinez was indicted. According to the complaint, she, quote, forcibly assaulted, resisted, opposed, impeded, intimidated, and interfered with an officer of the United States. After her attorney viewed the body camera footage and other evidence emerged that undermined the government's version of events, prosecutors made an extraordinary move and asked the judge to drop their own case. The judge agreed, but not long after, she told me the shooting still haunts her.
I don't want to remember that day. You're laying there at night and you're just thinking about it, like, what's gonna happen? Like, it's really emotional to me. So it's like, it's hard for me to talk about it, but I'm trying.
And that's part of why Martinez pushed to get all of this information out.
Dude, anytime there's footage of these animals, by the way, you get to see their mentality, like Gracias, hitting them with this bitch, all this stuff. Like, it is pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy, like the way that they operate. They're animals, okay?
Because she believed it allows people to have a greater understanding of how agents might react after something like this, no matter the city, and to further clear her name, because the Department of Homeland Security has never retracted its accusations against Martinez, even after the case was dropped. Now, the shooting agent, Charles Exum, Customs and Border Protection, said he's been placed on what was described as routine administrative leave pending further investigation. Anderson.
It's wild to me. Are we watching the same video? This is CNN parroting a lawsuit complaint for the sake of getting an emotional exclusive interview to rile up their 53 viewers. They should drop the charade and hire a reporter as co-counsel. Once again, CNN demonstrates complete aversion to the truth. Border Patrol, dude, I can't. I'm sorry. I can't deal with this shit, dude. I like, they are actively designing a world where the truth doesn't matter. There's no consensus reality. I don't know. Like, I don't know what to say about it, you know? I appreciate the response, but the agent himself testified he wouldn't consider this a ramming, and this is also his vehicle in the highlighted circle at the time of the shooting. Do you assess this as boxed in? Like, what are you debate lording? You're the Department of Homeland Security. This is the one where the cop joked about her having 5 bullet holes for her 7 holes. Yeah, ever wonder why on earth the Labor Department kept posting Nazi memes? Apparently, it's this guy, and now he's at the Department of Homeland Security. He raised alarms among colleagues at USDOL for social media posts that echoed white supremacists and neo-Nazis. So now he will handle social media for Department of Homeland Security.gov. A great scoop by Evan Gorlick for the New York Times on the 21-year-old behind all those weird memes on government accounts. That's right. The administration looked at all of his like white supremacist posting at the Department of Labor and thought, well, this would work better for our more white supremacist Department of Homeland Security.
Tell me how you define white identity and what you think is being erased about white identity.
Certain types of Anglo-derived culture that comes from our history.
Bro, why do they always look like this? Why do they always look like this? This is not the 21-year-old, I don't think. This is a different guy. There's many guys, right? This can't be the 21-year-old. You will never convince me that that guy is the 20. Yeah, Peyton Rollins is 21. That's a different guy. This is Mr. Jeremy Carl. I'm sure Peyton Rollins also looks like shit too. It's crazy how ugly these people are. Don't give me this body fascism nonsense from the left, by the way. I'm sorry. From this day on, body fascism just means you have the worst body if you are a fascist, okay? Hasan, this is eugenics. No shot, man. I've seen far too many that look like this that are like, we are the master race. Bitch, you are the master bait. What the f are you talking about? The master race my ass. I swear to God, hate makes you rot from within and it just comes out in your outsides. This is the little 21-year-old Nazi who's now in charge of digital comms director at DHS, Peyton Rollins. There it is. It's crazy, man. It's so funny. These guys are constantly worried about declining white birth rates. And it's like, well, okay, well, don't look like that. You know what I mean? I'm sorry. Look at like Bad Bunny and then look at you. Who do you think people are going to want to? You could even the odds a little bit if you didn't have such a repulsive worldview. Okay. But let's be real. You ain't getting no pussy looking like that.
History, there's
and with the worst ideas of all time.
Let me think about this. Senator, I would say if you were to look at the book by one of your former Senate colleagues, Born Fighting, about the sort of Scotch-Irish military culture and certain, pride that went with that, that would be one example. Obviously, you could have sub-elements of that culture. You could have Italians, you could have Irish, and those are in many ways more
But you're worried about white culture. You're not worried about, you're now retreating to ethnic identity. You don't speak about ethnic identity. You speak about white identity. So tell me the values that stitch together white identity and that make it different than black identity.
I would say that the white church is very different than the black church in terms of its tone and style on average. Foodways could often be different.
Dude, it's awesome. Yeah, Irish people clown on Irish American chuds all day. Yeah, this is so sick. Interrogating these guys' worldview and putting it on the main stage is so fire. Because one, you get to see them. Two, you get to watch tears behind their eyes as they tearfully talk about white identity. Like, there is no pathway for this. Okay? If you think that the average, like, suburban Republican or even, like, the most racist ruraloid is going to look at this guy and be like, well, he's speaking my language. Like, no, there is no cohesive, coherent white identity that leans into this Euroid style of white supremacy and white nationalism. Okay? American white supremacy revolves around proximity to blackness, and that's it. Okay? We ain't black. We ain't black. That's what it is. That's all this is. These guys try to do this like European style of like fascist nationalism that revolves around white identity, but the white identity shit in and of itself is also still positively European. Or, sorry, the white identity thing is actually very American. Europeans, for the most part, at least historic fascism in Europe, has not always revolved around white identity, right? It's revolved around like ethnic boundaries. That's the reason why European fascism historically is considered Slavs to be not white, whereas the American whiteness has expanded over time and considers many of these other subgroups that historic fascists despised and wanted to ethnically eliminate, eradicate, as a part of the white in-group. But if you look at like real European nationalists right now, real European fascists, like they hate Polish people, for example. They hate Polish people. They don't consider Polish people to be white. So when you start talking about when you start trying to merge like white nationalism, white identitarianism with European style fascism, you kind of have this mishmash, this mix of both of these different variants, and it kind of fails. It fails in America. It fails to reach like broad consensus. You would not be considered white in Europe. Exactly. But I'm white as in America. That's my point.
Music could be different.
And those are being erased.
Music could be different. If you look at the Super Bowl halftime show, which was not in English this year.
So our ability to access white churches or white food or white music is being erased?
I am concerned with the majority common American culture that we had for some time that through particularly mass immigration, I think has become much more balkanized, and I think that weakens us. And again, I'm not running away from that comment. I'm not apologizing for it.
Well, I'm way over my time. I think you're struggling to answer this question, right? Because underlying your beliefs is a sentiment that white culture is just simply better.
I love that shit, dude. Injected directly into my veins. I love seeing these dumbasses be like, This was Jeremy Carl, top Trump State Department nominee, deleted thousands of social media posts, many with inflammatory commentary, including incendiary posts about race, claims that peaceful coexistence with Democrats is impossible, even a call for Randy Weingarten to be executed. One deleted tweet said Capitol rioters on trial had it worse than black people in Jim Crow, Mississippi. Carl asked the Internet Archive Wayback Machine to remove his tweets, but seemingly forgot to request they remove his previous username under the same account. Carl also repeatedly wrote about the Great Replacement, a conspiracy theory that posits that there's a plot to intentionally bring non-white immigrants to the Western countries and replace them with white populations. Imagine thinking the Great Replacement is a conspiracy theory he wrote in September 2021. He mocked George Floyd's death and said he was looking up from hell and called celebrating Juneteenth a surrender to white people. This is also part of the reason why, like, leftists in general never shut the up about their true positions, their ideology, as opposed to right-wingers that constantly have to shelter their ideology. Because when push comes to shove, their endpoint is insane. Our endpoint, you might consider to be not manageable, not realistic, but is nowhere near as violent as like the fascists are. It's not. It's not violence at all, unless you're a capital owner, at which point you think it's something worse than death, which is to become a working class individual. A fate worse than death. An unimaginable trigger warning for the petite bourgeois and the capital owning class. I said, you know, you might have a little bit of equality. I testified before the Senate Judiciary Committee. I discussed the largest fraud in the history of U.S. immigration system perpetrated. This is David J. Beyer from Cato Institute. This was 5 minutes of absolute bars, by the way. I mean, there are some moments where he's like a little libertarian and a little weird, but overall, you know, I love the free movement libertarians. I love the anti-imperialist libertarians. Really, I love the anti-cop libertarians. They still exist, and many of them work at the Cato Institute. Obviously, take with a grain of salt what he says about like what the true fraud is, right?
Member of the subcommittee, thank you for the opportunity to testify. For nearly half a century, the Cato Institute's research has shown that people of any ancestry, background, or birthplace can be assets in a free society. America's immigrants exemplify this truth. Despite often leaving terrible conditions abroad, immigrants work, start businesses, and invent at higher rates than the U.S.-born population. Cato's recent analysis shows that immigrants reduced deficits by $11.5 trillion over the last 30 years, including about $140 billion in Minnesota. Although welfare fraud is a serious problem, immigrants aren't to blame. Non-citizens account for just 5% of welfare fraud losses, 31% less per capita than U.S. citizens. Rather than targeting entire ethnic groups, Congress should end the broken welfare systems, namely the oversight-free aid to states that led to all the fraud in Minnesota. But let's be clear, DHS isn't anti-fraud. DHS is itself openly carrying out the largest fraud in the history of the U.S. immigration system. DHS and the State Department are raking in billions of dollars in immigration fees and not providing the adjudications that applicants are entitled to. For individuals for over 90 countries, half of all legal immigrants, the administration...
He's a libertarian, though. He's a libertarian. He's a libertarian. He's a libertarian. But he's not wrong, though, as far as like the Department of Homeland Security conducting fraud by taking money from hard-earned dollars from immigrants and their American family members to refuse to process them. That is true. Speak on it, King. My goat. Now, of course, he goes back and forth and he's like, all matter of you know, all of the regulatory forces in the federal government are technically doing fraud by existing. Now, when you go there, I'm like, okay, well, maybe you're a little crazy, but, you know, but speak on it.
Is simply not processing their applications. The burden of proof is already on these applicants. DHS and state can deny anyone who fails to make their case. Instead, this administration is pocketing thousands of dollars from hardworking Americans and their relatives, including spouses and minor children of U.S. citizens, and then not even looking at their applications. This is a scam. It is fraud. DHS's entire Minnesota operation is another kind of scam sold to the public on lies. DHS hasn't criminally charged anyone with fraud there, and 60% of its immigrant arrests in Minnesota have no criminal convictions or charges. DHS itself classifies just 8% of its arrests in Minnesota as the highest threat level, and 3/4 of arrests it classifies as not being a threat at all. Instead of arresting fraudsters, it's seeking to jail 5,600 legal vetted refugees, nursing mothers, single parents, long-term residents, already dragged away from their families without any evidence of fraud at all. Rather than a law enforcer, DHS has become the biggest lawbreaker in America today. In less than a year, DHS has attacked the First, the Second, the Fourth, Fifth, Sixth, Eighth, 10th, 14th Amendments to the U.S. Constitution, the writ of habeas corpus, the independent judiciary, and much more. Every day, masked DHS agents detain Americans based on their race and demographics. They arrest legal immigrants for criticizing their foreign policy and Americans for recording them doing it. They threaten, assault, and even shoot people for exercising their First and their Second Amendment rights. They break into our homes without judicial warrants. They sentence legal immigrants to foreign prisons without trials. They are trying to strip the citizenship of Americans born in this country. They detain people without lawful basis, and they ignore court orders to release them. And of course, they lie about all of it. Combating fraud and upholding the rule of law is important, but the public cannot have faith in that effort by an administration that regularly gets away with fraud, lies, and lawlessness. Even the FBI supervisor and the 14 U.S. attorneys in Minnesota who were responsible for leading the welfare fraud effort there lost faith. They quit because of DHS's operation there. We need accountability. The Supreme Court has said Congress hasn't authorized Americans to sue immigration agents for constitutional violations. So fix it. No more absolute immunity, as the White House says. The new standard, absolute accountability. Anything.
I mean, he cooks, even though he literally is like, hey, you want to cut welfare fraud? Stop giving money to the states, which is insane. Listen to how shocked Senator Kennedy was. I should have clarified more how it's actually 3 different overlapping policies: the presidential visa ban, the USCIS benefit suspension, and the State Department immigration visa suspension leading to the theft from applicants.
Mr. Byer, am I saying your name right?
It's Mr. Beer.
Mr. Byer, am I saying your name right? You strike me as a country bumpkin, Mr. Byer. No, I'm a simple country folk. I ain't never seen nobody with glasses that had any dang good thing to say, Mr. Byer. I'm a Rhodes Scholar, by the way. Went to Oxford. You heard of it? Now, I'm a illiterate country bumpkin, Mr. Byer, but you look like a fella that knows what's going on.
Mr. Beer. I like beer better.
Most people do.
Tell me that, I think I heard you say that some people, some folks who've come to our country and are trying to get status to stay have applied to the Department of Health of DHS, and they've paid money, and DHS is doing nothing.
Oh, that's right. Yep, they're sitting on their applications, not processing them.
That's a pretty bold statement. How many people? I'm not saying you're wrong. I don't know. How many people we're talking about?
About half of the immigrant flow right now.
So
90 countries are affected by the State Department ban.
How many people is that?
Well, it's at least 300,000 abroad and probably twice that when you consider the people already in the U.S.
So you're saying that 300,000 folks have gone to DHS to seek some kind of permanent status or semi-permanent status to stay. At least 300,000, and they've paid money to DHS, and DHS has done nothing. Is that what
That's right. Yeah, they're sitting on their applications.
Well, who
or they're
at
just
DHS is
putting
doing
them in the
that?
trash.
Who at DHS is doing this?
Oh, it's Joseph Edlow. He's in charge of it. He came up with this policy to just.
Who is he?
He's the head of USCIS. Joseph Edlow is the head of USCIS. He came up with this policy
DHS?
where he is just.
Slow down a minute, man. You've had too much coffee. Is he he's at DHS?
I'm just from New Jersey. So.
I understand. Great state, too. Who does he report to?
Secretary Noem, of course.
Okay. Does Secretary Noem know whether this...
I don't know what Secretary Noem knows, but she's aware of the general tenor of this administration.
What's his name?
Joseph.
I like that he is expressing the same level of shock and dismay that he did when he was reading smut on the congressional floor. Who are these people? Who's Secretary Noem? Who's this Secretary Noem lady? What's next? You gonna tell me she killed her puppy? Why I oughta?
Joseph Edlow.
Mr. Edlow, who's his boss?
Secretary Noem.
Oh, okay. And you can document all this?
Oh, absolutely. They put out a memorandum saying we're not processing these people.
Late, but my oldest bro loved the convo with Bob. He's gone from moderate to more left. My Irish Catholic mom, always conservative and even voted Trump before, but is now anti-Israel, anti-ICE, and purposely has pronouns for patients you care for. She's happy I'm dating a Palestinian. You always say people can change, and it's true. So you and Welch are right. Hell yeah. Also, subtle, but not so subtle flex. I'm dating. Okay, Andrew.
And Secretary Rubio.
Okay, girlfriend haver.
Is involved as well when it comes to the State Department.
Would you send me that memo, please?
I will absolutely send that to you.
I went way over. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, John.
I appreciate.
My cousin works for USCIS, and her department approves application, and the department was cut in half. Half was sent to ICE enforcement, and the department's already behind so many applications. Yeah. And then they have the audacity to be like, well, come in the right way, brother. It's like, dude, you're arresting the people that are coming in the right way. Like, that's what's so nutty about this. It's like, come in the right way, come in the right way. It's like, well, you're literally killing the right way. And then you're turning around and then actually killing the people. You're deporting the people that are coming the right way, doing the right things, making it virtually impossible to come in the right way anyway. It's just designed this way so that people have no options. And then, of course, lo and behold, you have this side of the story where the dipshits that are being funded to brick this system that was already fundamentally broken, brick it even further, are going around shooting people.
Did the federal government lie in a statement it made about a Chicago woman shot multiple times by Customs and Border
The answer is yes, is always yes.
Patrol agent?
And today, attorneys for Miramar Martinez took the wraps off a trove of evidence they say proves it did. NBC5's Charlie Wojciechowski joining us from the newsroom with the details. Charlie, there's a lot of evidence to take a look at here.
There really is, Stephen. 3 body cam videos, more than 200 pages of photos and text. And you may remember that CBP Chief Craig Bavino, Homeland Security Director Kristi Noem were quick to label Martinez as a domestic terrorist. Weeks later, all the charges against her were dropped. Her attorneys say this evidence shows why.
We're going to make contact and we're boxed in.
We are boxed in.
Federal agents recorded on their own body camera video the day one of them shot Miramar Martinez 5 times.
We've been struck. We've been struck.
Now her attorneys have the permission of the courts to release this video and hundreds of pages of evidence that was to be used against her in court if the case had not been dismissed.
You got to see why it matters that people can actually see the real evidence as opposed to the false claims by our government. I mean, we live in a strange time right now where we cannot trust our federal government.
While she watched.
I mean, I don't know if it's a strange. I mean, I get saying that because, like, you know, it gives you a stronger point here, but I don't know if it's a strange time.
Martinez's legal team laid out a series of statements made about her by the government. Statements they say the evidence disproves.
To have your own government call you something as hurtful and as harmful as a domestic terrorist when you know you're not is just unacceptable.
They say Martinez was among those who honked their call horns to warn neighbors about ICE and that she did carry a holstered gun in the bottom of her purse. But they deny she had tried to attack the officers, pointing to shots that pierced her windshield and blew out her back window, where a bag of clothes that she was on her way to donate can be seen. They point to a series of texts between the officer who fired the shots and his posse, congratulating him on the shooting, and an email from then CBP Chief Greg Bovino offering him a promotion.
They don't know whether Miramar is going to live or die, and he's being promoted. I mean, that's disgusting.
Now Martinez is planning to bring a civil suit against that officer and his supervisors, something that can be challenging when a federal agent is involved.
We can hold them accountable monetarily, and we'll be asking for damages in the tens of millions of dollars when we do get our day in court.
Martinez herself did not speak, only addressing one question about being afraid. I am not afraid of anyone, she said in Spanish. The only thing I fear is God. Border Patrol saying CBP is dedicated to the highest standards for training its officers. It says that this is a matter that is currently under investigation. And as far as Officer Exum, the person who did fire the shots into that car, there is an investigation into him, according to the attorneys for Martinez. The Customs and Border Patrol folks asked us to ask the Justice Department about that. Reporting live in the newsroom, I'm Charlie Wojciechowski. Stephen Marion, back to you.
All right, Charlie, we appreciate it. Thank you so much.